I'm 82 years old now. When you get to this age, silence becomes louder than noise. And the silence in my house has been teaching me things I should have learned 50 years ago. There's one sign in a marriage I ignored, not because I was cruel, not because I didn't love my wife, but because I thought it was small. I thought it was temporary. I thought we had time. Her name was Farah. We married when I was 27. I still remember the way she looked at me on our wedding day, like I was someone steady, someone safe. I wasn't rich, I wasn't important, but I was ambitious, and she believed in that ambition more than I did. In the beginning, we talked about everything. Late-night tea in our tiny apartment, whispered plans about the future, the kind of laughter that fills empty rooms and makes them feel full. We didn't have much money, but we had energy, we had hope, we had each other. Then life began to move. My career started growing. Promotions came slowly at first, then faster, more responsibility, more pressure, more travel. I told myself I was building something for us. Every late night at the office had a purpose. Every missed dinner was temporary. Every postponed vacation was an investment in our future. That's what men tell themselves. The first time she said it, I didn't understand what she meant. We were sitting at the dinner table. I was halfway through checking something on my phone. She said, very quietly, "I feel alone sometimes." I looked up, confused. "You're not alone," I said. "I'm right here." She nodded, but she didn't look convinced. That was the sign. Not yelling, not fighting, not betrayal. Loneliness. Loneliness sitting across from me while I believed everything was fine. I thought it would pass. I thought once this project ended, once this promotion came through, once things settled down. Things never settle down. They only change shape. Over the years, the conversations became shorter. "How was your day?" "Fine." "Yours?" "Busy." We stopped telling each other the small details, the funny story from the grocery store, the strange dream, the tiny worries that don't seem important. I told myself this was normal. We were mature, stable, not like those dramatic couples who fight and make up. We were calm. But calm can sometimes be distance in disguise. She stopped asking me to come to certain things. Neighborhood gatherings, dinners with her friends, even small family events. "You're busy," she'd say before I could answer. At first, I felt relieved, less pressure. Later, I realized she had stopped expecting me. That's another sign. When someone stops expecting you, something inside them has already started closing. In my 40s, I was proud of what I had achieved. Bigger house, better car, respect in my field. People admired my discipline. They didn't see my wife sitting alone in the living room after I'd fallen asleep on the couch, exhausted. They didn't see her turning off the light quietly. One night I woke up and found her sitting at the edge of the bed, in the dark. "Are you okay?" I asked. She hesitated. Then she said, "Do you ever miss us?" I laughed softly. "What do you mean? We're right here." She didn't explain. She just lay down and turned away from me. That question followed me for years. Do you ever miss us? But I kept moving forward, always forward. Men like me don't look sideways. They don't pause long enough to notice what's fading. We measure success in numbers, in progress, in growth. We don't measure the slow shrinking of someone's heart. Our children grew up watching this quiet pattern. They saw a father who worked hard. They saw a mother who smiled politely. But children feel tension even when there's no shouting. They left home earlier than I expected. Our house became quieter. That's when I began noticing her silence more. She read more books, spent longer hours in the garden, took solo walks in the evening. I assumed she enjoyed her independence. I even told friends proudly, she's very strong, very self-sufficient. I didn't understand that self-sufficiency can be born from giving up. The real turning point didn't come with an explosion. It came with a sentence. "I don't know how to reach you anymore." She said it during breakfast. The sunlight was coming through the window. Ordinary morning. "I'm right here," I replied. Same words, same blindness. She looked at me for a long time. "You're here," she said, "but you're not with me." I felt irritated, defensive. I was providing, protecting, planning. What more was I supposed to do? No one teaches men that presence is not the same as proximity. You can share a bed and still be worlds apart. Years passed like that. No affairs, no screaming matches, no dramatic exits. Just two people slowly becoming polite roommates. We celebrated anniversaries. We smiled in photos. We attended weddings together. From the outside, we looked solid. Inside, something fragile had already cracked. When I turned 65 and retired, I thought everything would fix itself. Finally, time. I imagined long breakfasts, shared hobbies, conversations we postponed. But when you neglect a garden for decades, you cannot expect it to bloom overnight. We sat across from each other at the kitchen table, and we had nothing left to say. That's when I understood. Loneliness in a marriage doesn't arrive suddenly. It arrives quietly, politely. It sits down between you and waits. And if you ignore it long enough, it becomes permanent. I didn't ignore betrayal. I ignored distance. And distance is more dangerous because it feels harmless. If I could go back to my younger self, I wouldn't tell him to work less. I would tell him to notice. Notice when her voice changes. Notice when she stops reaching for your hand first. Because the worst thing that can happen in a marriage is not a fight. It's indifference. And I didn't see it forming, not until it was already too late. It was a Tuesday afternoon when she told me she wanted to separate. There was no anger in her voice. That's what scared me. Anger still has heat in it. Anger means something is alive. What she had was calm, a tired kind of calm. "I think we've both been alone for a long time," she said. I wanted to argue. I wanted to defend myself. But the truth was sitting in the room with us. I had felt it too, just never admitted it. I asked her when she started feeling this way. She smiled gently. "Years ago," she said, "I just stopped telling you." That sentence still echoes inside me. She stopped telling me, not because she didn't try, but because I stopped hearing. We didn't fight about money. We didn't fight about loyalty. We didn't fight about parenting. We simply drifted. Two decent people, two responsible adults who forgot that marriage is not maintained by duty. It's maintained by attention. After she moved out, the house felt larger, not emptier, larger, like space had expanded to expose how little warmth we had left. I walked into the kitchen one morning and poured 2 cups of tea out of habit. I stared at the second cup for a long time before pouring it down the sink. That was the first time I felt the weight of what I had ignored. I thought about all the evenings she must have sat beside me while I stared at a screen. All the times she began a sentence and decided not to finish it. All the small disappointments she swallowed so we wouldn't argue. There was no dramatic betrayal in our story, just small absences, over and over again. Our children were kind about it. They said, "Sometimes people grow apart." But we didn't grow apart. We slowly stopped choosing each other. That's different. I tried calling her more often after the separation. I wanted to repair things. She answered politely, but the softness was different. You cannot rewind decades of neglect with a few sincere conversations. Trust doesn't break in one moment. It thins, like fabric worn down over years. One evening, months after she left, I asked her to meet for dinner. She agreed. We sat across from each other at a small restaurant we used to love. For a moment, it felt familiar. But familiar is not the same as close. I told her I finally understood, that I should have listened when she said she felt alone, that I should have taken her question seriously. She nodded. "I know you loved me," she said. That sentence hurt more than if she had said I didn't, because she knew I loved her, and still she was lonely. Love without attention becomes background noise. It exists, but it doesn't comfort. We didn't get back together. Some distances, once created, become permanent. She built a quiet life for herself. I built a quieter one for myself. Now, at 82, I sit in this same house most evenings. The clock sounds louder. Regret has a different texture in old age. It's not dramatic. It's steady. I don't regret working hard. I don't regret providing. I regret not noticing, not asking a second question when she said she felt alone, not putting my phone down, not turning my body toward her fully when she spoke. Those moments felt small, insignificant. They were not. The sign I ignored wasn't shouting. It wasn't tears. It was the quiet sentence, "I feel alone." If your spouse says that, don't defend yourself. Don't explain. Don't promise you'll fix it later. Sit with it. Ask what that loneliness feels like. Ask when it started. And then change something immediately. Because loneliness inside a marriage grows in silence. And once it becomes normal, it's almost impossible to undo. People think marriages end because of big betrayals. Sometimes they end because two people stopped paying attention to the same room. I see couples my age now walking slowly in the park, holding hands. I wonder what they did differently. Maybe nothing extraordinary. Maybe they simply kept listening. I still speak to Farah sometimes. Birthdays, family gatherings. We are respectful, kind. But there's a softness between us that will never return, not because we were bad people, but because we assumed we had more time to fix what felt small. At 82, you understand something clearly. Big mistakes announce themselves. Small ones whisper. And whispers, ignored long enough, can dismantle a life. If this meant something to you, don't wait for retirement to become present. Don't wait for separation papers to start listening. If someone you love says they feel alone while sitting next to you, that's the sign. Don't ignore it. I did. And now the quiet in this house is the only answer I have left.